Hello and welcome. This is a how do I sort of describe this? This is a discussion with a friend, somebody I've known for years and years. Had we've had Shingara and Mishti Doi at Mr. Dalmia's office discussing cricket. I don't know how many times, but today this is why we are here. Pitch side, pitch side. My life in Indian cricket by Amrit Mathur. People who haven't bought it, buy it. I've read cover to cover and can tell you with full certainty, you should read it. The anecdotes are fabulous. You will get a ringside, pitch side view of Indian cricket by one of those who has had the rare. I mean, he starts the book saying it. He's seen it from close quarters. The story of the dressing room, the story of the IPL, the story of BCCI, the story of Indian cricket over the last 30 years. Pitch side. Welcome, Amrit Mathur, and many congratulations.
Thank you, Boria. Thank you, Boria.
As I read this, and I could recollect a lot of these stories which we've discussed in the past. Tell me, which is your favorite anecdote? I can keep rattling off, but which is your favorite one?
Firstly, thank you very much for the kind words. Yeah, I've just been lucky that I have been the opportunity to witness many iconic moments. Been on tours with the Indian team, got access to players, events, matches. So I just think I've been grateful. I was lucky. It was not meant to be. By chance, by an accident, I got into a situation which put me into professional cricket, Indian cricket, and made me come closer to legends of the game, not only the players but also the administrators. So I think it's been a lucky journey, and I'm fortunate for the opportunity I got.
So the fact that you mention administrators, let me start with our common favorite, Jaguda.
Yeah.
1993 when you all went Pilcom to get that 96 World Cup, we know it wasn't easy. We know the veto was still in progress. We know all of that, 13-hour meeting at the ICC. You've seen these people from close quarters and you've described it. You've described how Mr. Scindia picked you, Jaguda, and all of you all went to London. Can you give us my viewers, because people who haven't read the book yet, how was it like being there, waiting outside as these two people went in, and you described that walk with Imran Khan, with the steward telling you can't walk there? Just give me a sense for my viewers how it was like. India wasn't dominant. So
Yeah.
Trying to cut its teeth in controlling international cricket, Amrit Mathur.
Two things, Boria. One, just the drama of how we actually got the World Cup to India in '96 through Pilcom. That's one. The drama, the meeting, as you mentioned, the 13-hour meeting at Lord, all that happened before and after. The other is, I think we'll talk at length a little more on Jaguda. Though these are connected, these are separate. The meeting itself was dramatic. In those days, it used to be decided by a vote,
Yeah.
allotment of the World Cup. And the master stroke of Jaguda was, and he decided to focus on the associates, who were a large majority. So we devised a financial package where more money went to the associates and not the test playing nation, because the majority would then vote for us. So this was Jaguda's masterstroke in terms of the election arithmetic to decide the World Cup. Anyway, there was a long meeting. Only two people from each country were allowed in. So it was largely Mr. Scindia and Mr. Dalmia inside. Mr. Bindra, me, and some others, and similarly people from the Pakistan side were waiting in the long room while this meeting happened in the library or some other part of Lord. It went on and on and on, and much give and take, forwards and backwards. And as described in that book, Imran was there for a while, and it was late evening, so we just decided to step out from the long room just to stretch our legs and get some fresh air. I think this was early '93, and promptly a steward walks up and said, "Sir, not allowed." Now, I thought, cricket is 3 months away. We couldn't be damaging the turf. We are near the boundary taking a few steps. And this is Imran Khan being told to take a bloody walk at Lord's. He's not hurting the turf in any way. There's no damage to anything. But anyway, that's how it was in those days. But all that changed because of Jaguda. Now, let me come to Jaguda as such. I think Jaguda was a game changer in many ways. Primarily, he put India and made India and the BCCI a global superpower. He became the ICC head later on, and because of him, India was respected, even feared in the ICC.
Let me just stop you there. I mean, And both of us have seen this from very close, and that's why I'm asking this.
Yeah.
Firstly, it was 2nd of February for our viewers, the date that Amrit was mentioning, so it's very cold in England. 2nd of February 1993 is when that ICC meeting happened, 13 and a half hours. So clearly you can understand no cricket whatsoever at that point in time. So what he's saying, I mean, understand it in context. As far as Mr. Dalmia, someone who did not speak the best English, right? We know where he was from. From there to where he went, no inhibitions, no insecurities. I mean, actually the voice of a new India, did not even care. You've seen him from as close, and you were talking about, just describe that bit, that to take on that establishment, break it down and take control.
Listen, I have not seen anybody with more self-belief and confidence than Mr. Dalmia. Forget language, forget fluency in English. It didn't matter.
Correct.
He conveyed very clearly what he wanted to say, and people understood when he spoke. So I don't think there was an issue. Secondly, I have now not seen any person who worked harder than him. He was always prepared for a meeting. He could recall, decisions, minutes of previous meetings, whatever like this. So I have not seen anybody work as hard. I've never seen him ever tired. He would never say, "Yaar, kal dekh lenge, aaj bahut ho gaya." Never. What had to be done, had to be done. I was just thinking that if he was a cricket player in today's era, and there were 3 formats and this busy schedule, he would be playing every format, every game, and never ask for a break. People in IPL bowl 4 overs and want to take a break. Mr. Dalmia would have played every of the 74 IPL matches and not ever say that he was tired. So
and that's so beautifully put. And sort of that sums up Mr. Dalmia I can continue with Amrit Mathur on this.
But listen, I want to say 2 more things about Mr. Dalmia.
Please.
I don't think anybody understood numbers better than him. Whether it was election numbers or whether it was numbers as part of the commercial construct of cricket. There were many instances where we would think that it's worth 100 rupees. Mr. Dalmia would make sure you close the deal at 150. And the guy who's paying 150 would come out and say, "Arey, I've got such a great deal." So that was Mr. Dalmia's skill of maximizing value. See, Boria, that money is not a problem in cricket. Money comes on its own. The skill is to maximize it. And for there, nobody better than Mr. Dalmia. Secondly, the point I want to make is, Mr. Dalmia was a winner. Whatever he did, he was never on the back foot. He loved a scrap if there was one, never took a backward step. With his self-belief, hard work, and his broad understanding of the picture, he was an outstanding leader. So I worked with many administrators. I worked longer with Mr. Dalmia than others. I'm sure there are others who are also very, very good in terms of administration. But if you have to pick one, it has to be Mr. Dalmia.
Fascinating. And I'll just add one thing to that. I mean, Amrit Mathur mentions here that there is money in cricket, he maximized value, but at that point in time with Doordarshan, and he again refers to it during that first sale, there was no money in cricket. I mean, at that point, if you see the BCCI balance sheet was a loss of 62 lakhs in 92. And when we wanted to sell telecast rights, Doordarshan actually wanted 5 lakh rupees for cricket telecast. So what he's talking about is so important.
You mentioned the 1996 World Cup. The first challenge of Pilcom was to sell television rights.
Totally.
And desperate efforts were made and there was no buyer. And eventually they were close at 10 million. Now 10 million is what, 80 crores? Now in every match of the IPL gets about 120 crores. Right. Just put that in perspective. You're struggling to sell the television rights of a World Cup. So there were different times.
Correct. And the 9.5 million that we got from them. And that's why I'm saying read pitch side, because it's a kind of an eye-opener that the cricket that you're now seeing, there are backstories and that's how it comes. Not much time. So two things I want to talk about. One, the NatWest Final and then the Pakistan match of 2003. 2 of my favorite anecdotes from pitch side. I mean, that NatWest Final, when you talk about, and you describe it so well, superstition comes in. You describe Saurav, you describe the mid-innings, you describe Nasser, you describe Mike Proctor and all of that. What is your one memory of that NatWest Final? Clearly, after the final, you say Saurav wanted to take people out and the dinner and all of that. Just tell me that.
Listen, I think the major thing is the amazing turnaround. When Sachin got out, 5 down for 140, whatever, chasing 325, the game was lost there. So you could feel the depression, the gloom, the darkness in the dressing room because you're up against it. You're not expected to win from that situation. So that gloom was very apparent in the dressing room. Gradually it changed, and strangely, I remember Agarkar keeps saying, "We'll win." As we sort of slowly climbed back into the game, Agarkar there was saying, "Nahi, hum jeetenge." He had this feeling. Well, Saurav, of course, was busy praying, and you know how superstitious he is. So he was calling on all his divine contacts to have things change. But that's what happens in the dressing room, and that after a while there's tension. You don't move, you don't do this. If you're on the massage table, you stay on the massage table. If you're in the balcony, you stay on the balcony. Unfortunately, once Sachin was out to Giles, I went on a walk around. I said, match to khatam yaar, let me just meet friends and whatever. And when it started, we started recovering, and Yuvraj and Kaf made an astonishing comeback. I made my way back to the dressing room. By that time, the dressing room door was shut. So I had to stand outside. So maybe the last 7-8 overs, I was standing outside the dressing room, not allowed in because of tension going on. But it was fabulous. The team won. And the significance is that it's a final of a trophy. It's Lord's. And the change of fortunes. You were down and then you win. So amazing. That's what's made it so special in the overall journey of Indian cricket. It's a landmark moment. So I was happy I was present there.
What was your take on Saurav's shirt opening?
I was surprised. I didn't know it was coming. And apparently he'd mentioned it to some others. And, my memory is that I think Rahul said, let it be, not everybody, So maybe Rahul. Rahul is not the type who would make a show like this, which Saurav would do happily. And as I keep saying now, what Saurav did in 2002 has inspired Salman Khan, and he's been doing it ever since.
Yeah, and I keep telling Saurav that you didn't have a six-pack. You wore so many these, which we Bengalis wear for our gods and goddesses. So for a new India, you didn't care. I mean, you didn't have a body to show off, but you did, and that was the breaking down of the bastion. And you jumped over the fence and ran in, which you again so beautifully did.
Also, Bore, I want to make one point about Saurav. Saurav has, been rightly credited for, putting this thought that we must win abroad and fashioning a team to achieve that goal. I think his greater contribution to Indian cricket was to show respect to the seniors who were around him, whether it's Lakshman, Dravid, Sachin, Kumble, and to get the respect of the juniors. I think that's not as easily known, that he genuinely respected all the seniors, and the seniors acknowledged and understood that and reciprocated. Similarly, he had that thing of identifying match winners, UV, Bhaji, Sehwag. So the confidence he gave them came back to him. So I think he was terrific in the middle, respected by the juniors who would do that extra bit because the captain is showing so much confidence in us. The seniors doing the extra bit because he respects us so much. So this thing of getting the best out of the seniors and the juniors, being in the middle as the captain, I think is sort of greater sort of achievement as a captain than just injecting this feeling of winning abroad. I think every captain wants to win abroad. Every captain, all the time. But how to do it? So I think Saurav's massive, achievement was this, what we call now loosely man management. I think he was terrific for that.
The last part has to be about my favorite. And again, 2003, as his biographer, I know what it meant to him. And you mentioned that one year, they wanted to win that Pakistan match. You were there.
Yeah.
Can you just actually you've written about it. And by the way, if there's one critical thing that I have to say about the book is, it sort of made me ask for more. And Amrit gave it to me and then took it away. That, this is happening and Sachin was like this and this is what is going on in the dressing room. All of a sudden a different subheading comes and he moves away. So, there are many sequels to this. Each story could have been developed more because, as I said, he was pitch side. So read it and ask for more. That's the sum up. But tell me Sachin Tendulkar Pakistan century in 2003.
Listen, 2-3 things will stand out. I'm sure you must have discussed with Sachin, he must have told you. He wanted to to make a mark in that game. And that was a crucial game. He wanted to stand out and do. And he said the usual thing that he was preparing it for a long time. He couldn't sleep all that well before the game. And one amazing thing, on the day of the game, everybody goes to the pitch, takes a look and does knocking and the usual preparation. He came back to the dressing room. Centurion, you have to climb 70 odd steps to come back to the dressing room from the ground. And this usual cup of tea. And I said, Sachin, all okay, dekh liya, knocking over you. He said, ah. Then he points out that he said, I went to third man and the blades of the grass are pointing towards the pitch. So I said, so what? I couldn't understand what he was saying. He said, ball third man pe dheere jayega, wahan se do ho jayega. So if the ball I played there, instead of a single, I can get two. I was amazed at the man. Normally you go prepared, you look at the pitch, you do some knocking, you are looking at clouds or whatever condition. Here the man is looking at the directions of the blade of grass at third man, at the boundary. So that shows how deep his understanding and preparation and how his mind works. Fine, at the end of the game, he made that brilliant 90. India won, phenomenal. There's a postscript to this. Unfortunately, we didn't win the final. Yeah. And it was a terrific run till the final, but we didn't actually win the trophy. When we were coming back, there weren't enough seats in our normal flight, so we decided to come a bit early on the condition that you had to travel economy. So everybody agreed we wanted to come home. Now imagine this, it's a plane which is full with Indian fans who've gone for the match. They're returning, and the middle of all this is Sachin Tendulkar. So the poor man couldn't sleep those 8 hours because he was pestered, badgered for autographs, photos, this, that. But he did that all without any kind of complaint. No show of annoyance, frustration, nothing. All night he kept awake, signing, posing for photographs. When he got off at Bombay, I told Sachin, I saw you, struggling through the night, but you, did all this and showed so much patience. His answer was, "Yahan patience dikhane ki kya fayda? Pitch pe dikhani chahiye thi." He didn't have a very good final, but he's a different thing, and he is what he is because of all these qualities: preparation, commitment, hard work, a super sensational computer in his head, and he's phenomenally gifted, and he, as Imran said, he maximizes talent. That's Sachin Tendulkar. Many people are gifted. Not everybody achieves that level of the gifts that you've got, and he maximizes it. Just like Jaguda maximized everything, I think Sachin maximizes ability to play those 200 test matches and create the records, which I think is impossible for people to break.
I'll leave it at this because I can keep going on and on because the rest of the book, read it. I mean, if I tell you all the stories and Amrit sort of narrates all the stories, then why will you buy? And it's just 500, 600 rupees. So just buy it. Buy the book because it takes years and years to do it. I mean, having done quite a few, I can tell you this. The reading public is back after COVID, so I'm sure Pitch Side will be a bestseller. Amrit Mathur, thank you very much for joining me. I'll just say this. There's a description here which says after that Centurion match, Saurav called home and there were sounds of firecrackers and all. And Sachin called Anjali and there were sounds of firecrackers and all. 3 months down the line, I hope Rohit Sharma does that from Ahmedabad and Virat Kohli does that from Ahmedabad and all of India would be bursting firecrackers on the 19th of November. And then maybe Pitch Side 2 by Amrit Mathur will come out next year. Thank you very much, Amrit, for joining me.
Thank you, always delightful to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.